Let's get started with our first news. Last night was nothing short of electric as Tony Ferguson stepped into the ring against Salt Papi in a fight that had fans glued to their screens. The matchup carried an unusual mix of spectacle and seriousness, with many tuning in just to see how the legendary veteran would handle a popular crossover figure like Salt Papi. By the time the third round came around, Ferguson had taken full control, showing flashes of the wild, unorthodox style that made him one of the most unpredictable fighters in combat sports. With precise timing and relentless pressure, he landed a brutal sequence that resulted in a TKO victory, a statement finish that reminded everyone that he still has plenty left to offer. The crowd erupted and the internet immediately lit up with reactions to this unexpected but unforgettable showdown. After the fight, Salt Papi shared a photo of himself and Ferguson backstage. In the caption he wrote, "You can't win them all. Really grateful for the experience fighting the legendary El Kakul." The respect was clear, and it showed just how much heart Papi had for even stepping into the ring with someone as dangerous as Ferguson. What caught the attention of fans though was the response that came directly from Ferguson himself. He commented, "Champ only," followed by a string of emojis which immediately went viral. Those simple words carried a deep message. For Ferguson, it wasn't about tearing down his opponent, but about recognizing the courage it took to face him in the first place. Later, Ferguson took to his Instagram story, and what he wrote made the MMA community pause for a moment. He said, "You have a heart of gold, kid. Takes balls of steel to do what we did. You have my respect, sir. Tony, champ only." That short message encapsulated everything about who Ferguson is. Beneath the wild persona and the unpredictable fighting style, there's a deep respect for those willing to step into battle no matter the odds. It showed that for him, the fight game is not only about victories and losses but about the shared journey between warriors. Fans quickly started reacting to the post. Some were surprised by how genuine and heartfelt the words were, while others weren't shocked at all, knowing that behind his eccentric personality, Ferguson has always carried a warrior's spirit. For Salt Papi, this was not just a loss but a moment that elevated him. Facing someone as dangerous and experienced as Ferguson, lasting into the third round and earning the respect of a veteran, those are achievements that many will remember. The energy surrounding this fight proved once again that combat sports are about more than just records or belts. They are about respect, heart, and the willingness to take risks under the brightest lights. With this moment, both fighters left with something valuable. Ferguson walked away with another highlight win, and Salt Papi walked away with the admiration of both his opponent and the fans who watched him dare to step into the fire. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we'd truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Move on to another news. Merab has made it very clear what he wants next in his career. If he successfully defends the bantamweight title against Cory Sandhagen at UFC 320, he has his eyes firmly set on a rematch with Petr Yan. He explained that he is not overlooking Sandhagen, and he knows this will be a tough fight. But as Merab said, "God willing, I'm going to do my best to win this fight, and if I win, I want a quick turnaround. I want to fight again in December. I will ask the UFC for a favor, to give me another fight in December, or even November. I don't care. Petr is the clear contender right now. He deserves it. I don't want to make him wait too long. I can take a quick turnaround and fight him, and after that we will see who the next contender is." Those words reflect the type of fighter Merab has always been. He doesn't just want the belt, he wants activity, he wants to test himself over and over again. When asked about the first fight with Yan, Merab admitted it was one of the most difficult matchups he had ever prepared for. "Every fight I usually have a different plan, but against Petr Yan I didn't have a plan. I was scratching my head wondering how I was going to fight him. He has good takedown defense. He's a great striker and he's a dog. I was like, how am I going to fight this mother?" Merab went on to explain that it wasn't until the day before the fight, after weigh-ins, that things clicked. "When we made weight, he pushed me and then my mind opened. I thought, I'm going to teach you." That fire carried him into the octagon, and he was able to secure a huge win against one of the most respected fighters in the division. Now he wants to do it again, but this time with the belt on the line and with even more at stake. What stands out about Merab is not just his relentless cardio or his unmatched pace, but his mentality. He doesn't overthink, he doesn't get lost in the hype, and he doesn't look too far ahead. His words were simple: "My goal is just to do my best. I don't overthink. I just want to fight as much as I can, win as much as I can, and collect more victories. I want more wins and more fights." And then he dropped something that shocked many fans: "My goal is to fight until I'm 50 years old in the UFC. I hope I can be champion at that time, but it's impossible. I'm 34 now and 16 more years staying champion is impossible." Despite admitting that it shows his desire for longevity in the sport, he wants to fight not just for glory but for the pure love of competition. Whether he fights until he's 50 or not, one thing is certain: Merab is here to stay and he's determined to face the very best every step of the way. Move on to another news. In a recent interview, Khabib made headlines with comments that stirred up plenty of debate in the MMA community. He suggested that if Arman were to fight Ilia for the lightweight title, Arman would have an extremely high chance of winning. Khabib even went so far as to say he would give Arman an 80% chance to defeat Ilia, pointing to his elite wrestling as the key factor. While those words carried weight given Khabib's legendary career, they didn't sit well with everyone. One person who strongly disagreed was none other than his longtime friend and former teammate Daniel Cormier. Cormier responded directly to those comments on his YouTube channel. He said, "80-20 is crazy though. Come on, man. 80-20 is hard when anyone's fighting. The only time you could think of 80-20 odds in MMA is with guys like Khabib himself or John Jones. They're the only ones who went through this whole thing without losing. They're the only two. So yeah, maybe for them you could say it's 80% their way because they never lose. But guess who else hasn't lost? Ilia. So to put him on the opposite side of that 80-20 is just crazy to me. I don't believe that for 1 second. DC made it clear that while he respects both fighters, he doesn't buy into the idea that Arman could beat Ilia 8 out of 10 times. He doubled down saying, "There's not a guy in the world that I believe is gonna beat Ilia 8 out of 10 times. That's just the truth." It was a bold statement, but one that resonated with a lot of fans who have seen Ilia's meteoric rise and dominant performances inside the octagon. The comments quickly sparked reactions online. Some fans sided with Cormier, saying things like, "Finally common sense. Khabib is assuming Ilia won't be able to handle the grappling, but I doubt it'll be that hard for him. Arman would have to hold Ilia down for 25 minutes straight, while Ilia doesn't need much time on the feet to flatline anyone." Others pointed out the fact that Arman struggled against Charles, nearly getting submitted, while Ilia demolished Charles with ease. For them, the idea of Arman being such a heavy favorite didn't make sense at all. Still, Khabib's opinion holds value. He knows Arman well and he understands what kind of pressure that wrestling-heavy style can create. It's possible Khabib sees something in Arman's game that others don't, and that's why he was willing to give him such a high probability. But for Cormier, it's about being realistic. Ilia has been nothing short of flawless, and to suggest anyone has an 80% chance against him is something he simply cannot agree with. What this exchange highlights is the clash of perspectives between two legends who have shared the same gym and built their reputations on different aspects of MMA. For Khabib, it's about recognizing the dominance of wrestling. For Cormier, it's about respecting the undefeated record and explosive finishing ability of Ilia. And as the debate continues, fans are left buzzing about the potential matchup, knowing that if Arman and Ilia ever do cross paths, the stakes will be massive and the result could shake the entire lightweight division. Move on to another news. Robert Whittaker has shared his thoughts on the highly anticipated matchup between Nassourdine Imavov and Borralho, and his breakdown is a fascinating one. He believes that while both fighters bring strong grappling pedigrees to the octagon, their skills in that department will effectively cancel each other out. For Whittaker, the fight comes down to striking, and he sees Imavov having the edge in that area, especially over the course of 5 rounds. Whittaker explained that both men are dangerous on the ground. Borralho in particular is a threat when he gets his opponent's back, locking in the body triangle and squeezing with relentless pressure. But Whittaker doesn't see this fight heading into that realm. Instead, he thinks the two will remain standing for the majority of the bout. "I think they counter each other's grappling," Whittaker said. "I don't see it going to the ground. I see this being a striking fight." When it comes to striking, Whittaker broke down the differences in their styles. Imavov, in his view, is more of a traditional striker with clean, straight shots and a steady pace that makes him effective over the long haul. Borralho, on the other hand, is a more unorthodox fighter. He likes to explode into exchanges, use different angles, and throw looks that aren't always conventional. Whittaker acknowledged that those bursts can be dangerous, especially early, but when stretched out over 5 rounds, he feels that Imavov's technical and methodical style is more likely to hold up. "I think Imavov is going to keep it technical," Whittaker continued. "He's going to keep it straight and narrow. He's not just going to pick Borralho apart, but he's going to land the more effective shots and sustain that output over 5 rounds. In other words, Whittaker doesn't expect a one-sided fight, but he does see Imavov being able to maintain his composure and rhythm, while Borralho might struggle to consistently land his explosive techniques across 25 minutes. Whittaker also pointed out that in this matchup, wrestling and grappling might not be as much of a factor as fans expect. Both men respect each other's ground skills enough that initiating those exchanges could be risky. Instead, the smarter game plan for both will likely be to test each other on the feet. Whittaker admitted that he could be wrong and would love to see how the grappling exchanges would play out if the fight does hit the mat, but in his view, the most realistic scenario is a striking-heavy contest where Imavov's precision gives him the edge. This prediction from Whittaker highlights just how intriguing the fight is stylistically. Both Imavov and Borralho have proven themselves as dangerous prospects with versatile skill sets, but the way those skills clash could determine everything. According to Whittaker, when their strengths cancel each other out, the deciding factor becomes who can control the pace, stay disciplined, and impose their striking over the course of 5 intense rounds. And in that battle, he's leaning toward Imavov as the fighter who will rise to the occasion. Move on to another news. The fallout from the shocking incident involving Raja continues to grow, and now the big question is what kind of legal trouble he could actually be facing. Many fans online have been quick to throw around the words attempted murder, but according to legal experts, that charge would be a serious stretch unless prosecutors can prove that Raja had clear intent to kill. Without that level of intent, it's unlikely a jury would convict him on such a charge. Instead, the more realistic scenario is that Raja could be hit with felony battery with serious bodily injury, and in the state of California, that alone carries a maximum sentence of up to 4 years in prison. However, if prosecutors or the court decide to pursue attempted murder, that charge would bring much more severe consequences. Attempted murder in California could mean anywhere from 5 to 9 years behind bars depending on how the case is presented and how the court views the footage of what went down. A criminal defense lawyer who spoke with MMA media suggested that Raja might try to argue self-defense or purification, claiming that he was forced into the situation, but so far the video evidence does not appear to support that argument. The footage shows him going far beyond anything that could be considered reasonable self-defense, which makes that legal strategy very risky. On top of the criminal charges, there's also the matter of civil liability. Nox Pro, the wrestling promotion that was hosting the event, may very well choose to sue for damages. The organization could argue that its reputation has been harmed by the violent act and the massive negative publicity that followed. That opens another legal front for Raja and potentially his family to deal with, adding even more complications to an already messy situation. One thing is absolutely certain though, Raja wanted to step out of his father's shadow and build his own legacy. Instead, he has now become infamous for all the wrong reasons. What should have been the start of a promising career has quickly turned into a nightmare of public backlash, lost opportunities, and possible prison time. Rather than making a UFC debut or moving up through Dana White's Contender series, Raja is now being talked about in the context of crime, not competition. Fans have not been quiet either. Many are furious that despite the incident, Raja has not been officially banned from UFC competition. There's a growing belief among the MMA community that while Raja might have been on the path to the UFC, this incident has destroyed his chances of ever fighting in the promotion. The UFC has yet to take formal action, but the silence has only fueled outrage from fans who believe a strong message needs to be sent. While the UFC has not banned him, streaming platform Kick has already taken decisive action. Kick issued a statement confirming that it had immediately cut ties with both Rampage and Raja. Their message was simple: we do not promote violence and we do not tolerate this kind of behavior. That decision removes a major platform and source of visibility for both father and son, further isolating them from opportunities. As things stand, Raja faces a storm of legal challenges, public criticism, and career setbacks. The road ahead looks incredibly difficult, and instead of becoming known as a rising fighter, he may now be remembered for one of the ugliest incidents in recent combat sports history. Move on to another news. Last night at a BKFC event held at the Top Hill Open Air Club in Budva, chaos unfolded when a massive storm ripped through the outdoor venue. The strong winds and heavy rain caused parts of the structure and scaffolding to collapse, leaving crew members injured and forcing the organizers to shut the show down before the co-main and main events could even begin. What was supposed to be a thrilling night of bare-knuckle fighting quickly turned into an unforgettable disaster. The sudden change in weather shocked everyone in attendance. One moment fans were locked in on the action inside the ring, and the next they were scrambling for safety as thunder roared and lightning flashed above them. The intensity of the storm grew so fast that it was impossible for anyone to prepare. As equipment fell and debris scattered, it became clear that the event could not safely continue. The atmosphere went from electric to terrifying in a matter of seconds. Among those in attendance was Conor, who shared his immediate reaction on social media. He described the moment as absolutely crazy, explaining how the entire structure started shaking violently. Conor recalled how he was celebrating a big KO finish with a local fighter when the storm suddenly erupted. He said the heavens were arcing and it felt like the entire venue was collapsing around them. Conor didn't hesitate to get out of the ring, admitting that he knew the situation was not safe at all. His Instagram post captured just how intense and surreal the experience was. "That was the maddest thing ever," he wrote. "I wasn't waiting, I got out of there." His words highlighted the urgency of the situation, showing just how quickly things escalated from a celebration to a near catastrophe. For someone like Conor, who has seen countless chaotic fight nights, to describe the moment with such emphasis tells you just how serious it was. The organizers had no choice but to cancel the rest of the card. The co-main and main event will be postponed until a later date, but the priority last night was the safety of everyone inside the venue. Thankfully, while some crew members were injured, no fatalities have been reported. Still, the incident serves as a reminder of how unpredictable and dangerous outdoor events can be when nature decides to take over. Fans who were there will never forget the night. They came expecting blood, sweat, and knockouts, but instead they witnessed a storm that turned a fight card into chaos. The sight of scaffolding breaking apart, people rushing for safety, and fighters being ushered away was something few could have imagined. For those watching, the shock and adrenaline of the storm completely overshadowed the fights themselves. Mother Nature was the real force of the night, bringing a level of power and destruction no fighter could match. The event that was supposed to showcase the toughness of BKFC instead turned into a test of survival for everyone in attendance. The night will go down not for the fights that happened, but for the storm that stopped everything in its tracks.